soil organisms. Okay. I will touch a little bit about biofertilizer. So what is biofertilizer? Biofertilizer is substance containing living microorganisms that can promote plant growth through several mechanisms. So what is the difference between biofertilizer, organic fertilizer, or chemical fertilizer? So there is the same characteristic between organic and inorganic fertilizer, even though the raw material of um, inorganic fertilizer difference from organic fertilizer, but um, the contents of organic fertilizer and inorganic fertilizer is same. Okay. Sebab apa? Dalam organic fertilizer kita ada nutrients required by plants. In inorganic and organic fertilizer sama. Dua-dua contains nutrients required by plants. But in fertilizer, usually biofertilizer doesn't contain nutrients required by plant. Okay, unlike organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizer that I mentioned earlier. In biofertilizer, we formulate this biofertilizer based on beneficial microbes that can give or influence plant growth in several ways. Okay, for example, beneficial microbe that we use to formulate biofertilizer is Arbuscula mycorrhiza fungi. Okay, this is beneficial fungi. So this beneficial fungi can establish symbiotic interactions with plant. Okay, so AMF can be divided into two: ectomycorrhiza or endomycorrhiza. Endomycorrhiza, the hyphae can penetrate into plant cytoplasms, whereas AMF, ectomycorrhiza, the hyphae only can penetrate between plant cell wall. Okay, but the functions between ectomycorrhiza and endomycorrhiza same. They can enhance the nutrients use efficiency. Okay, so usually we will not apply biofertilizer solely to the plant. Okay, kita tak akan apply biofertilizer semata-mata saja dekat pokok tumbuhan, tapi we usually integrate the applications of biofertilizer of beneficial microorganisms with either chemical fertilizer or inorganic fertilizer. Okay, sebab apa? Tadi dalam biofertilizer tak ada nutrients. So kena ingat tu. Okay. Example of microorganisms commonly used as a biofertilizer adalah bacteria, cyanobacteria, fungus, ataupun apa ya? Saya lupa. Green ataupun alga. Okay. So bacteria that commonly used as a biofertilizer are called plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. There are groups of bacteria that can assist plant nutrients acquisitions, or they can produce a plant growth regulator, or they can increase the plant resistance toward abiotic or biotic stress. So that characteristic of plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. Rhizobacteria, what is mean by rhizobacteria? Rhizo mean roots, bacteria bacteria lah. So rhizobacteria merujuk kepada bacteria that inhabit on plant root. Okay, so this is an example. Plant that can interact with beneficial microbes, or plant that treated with beneficial microbes, and plant that untreated, no beneficial microbes. So this is the upper one is bacteria. If you look closely, this is bacteria that form a colony and inhabit on the root surface of plant. So this bacteria called Bacillus salmonella 139S. Okay, so this Bacillus salmonella can produce indole acetic acid. Indole acetic acid is plant growth hormone. So actually plant in bacteria can talk. They can communicate to each other. They can talk. But their way of communications tak macam kita. They communicate through chemical that produced by plant and also bacteria. Okay, so dekat atas ni adalah contoh macam mana pokok boleh berhubung atau boleh berkomunikasi dengan beneficial microbes. Okay, so dekat akar, plant can secrete root exudate. Okay, so we know plant undergo photosynthesis to convert the carbon dioxide into sugar or any other carbon compound. So about 40% to 60% of this fixed carbon will be secreted by plant through root exudations. Okay, bahan-bahan yang telah dihasilkan oleh tumbuhan melalui fotosintesis akan dikeluarkan, okay, melalui akar. This process called root exudations. Okay, so what is the main functions of root exudations? Plant secrete compound through root to to manipulate ataupun to induce the interactions between beneficial microbes. Okay, so when beneficial microbe can sense there are a lot of carbon produced by root exudates, they will migrate from soil to root, and they will use this fixed carbon as their food sources. Okay, so in return, because this is symbiotic interactions, both parties must have advantage. The bacteria will get food from the plant, and then the bacteria will trade their compound also. For example, certain bacteria can produce indole acetic acids, a growth hormone. Okay, so this growth hormone can be absorbed by plant. So this is an example of how beneficial microbe that can produce indole acetic acid can benefit to the plant. So di upper one awak tengok dia ada microbes. Sebelah gambar ni awak tengok ada banyak rambut kan. So this is root hair. Okay. So the growth of root hair is induced by the compound produced by bacteria. So if we do for the chemical analysis, most of the nutrients will be absorbed by the plant through root hair. Okay, sebab apa? Root hair tu dia macam filus dekat kita punya usus kan. Dia akan increase the surface area of the root. Okay, so the nutrients can be absorbed efficiently if plant can produce a lot of root hair. And the bottom one, the picture, this picture is gambar ni adalah gambar pokok pisang. Okay, so anak pokok pisang ni produced by tissue culture. So this banana seedling is very clean from any bacteria. So both plant were grow in genotobiotic conditions. What is mean by genotobiotic conditions? The conditions where we strip what kind of organisms can live in that ecosystem. Okay, biasanya kita akan buat micro ecosystem, kita grow dia dalam chamber yang sterilized, tak ada apa-apa organisms lain kecuali pokok pisang saja untuk control. Yang untuk treated, we grow banana seedling with beneficial microbe. And then awak tengok dekat akar ni clean, tak ada apa-apa microbes. And then kita tengok dia punya root hair, tak banyak kan compare pokok yang ada beneficial microbes. Okay, so in these situations, plant and microorganisms can establish symbiotic interactions. Okay, so even though beneficial microbe doesn't give any nutrients to the plant, but at the end of the study, we can observe the growth of the treated plant is more significant compared to untreated. Sebab apa? Plant yang kita bagi biofertilizer ni, dia boleh absorb nutrients more efficient, okay, compared to control. Okay, so this is how plant grow rhizobacteria can enhance plant growth. Okay, ini adalah salah satu mekanisme dia, tapi mekanisme dia ada banyak. Okay, ini pula adalah arbuscular mycorrhiza fungi, okay, AMF. So in biofertilizer, we can use beneficial AMF as a main ingredients, okay, to formulate our biofertilizer. So this is uh, endomycorrhiza. Why we say this is endomycorrhiza? Because the hyphae here can penetrate into plant cytoplasms. So AMF also establish symbiotic interactions with plant. In fact, if we do a biochemical study, kalau awak cabut mana-mana pokok yang awak jumpa dekat tanah tu, bila kita um, kita culture, kita akan dapat AMF, okay, fungi boleh tumbuh dekat atas culture tu. Okay, so most of the plant will form symbiotic interactions with AMF. Okay, so because I said this interaction is symbiotic interactions, so both party, either AMF or a plant, will get benefits. So AMF will serve as root extensions of the plant. Okay, ini adalah root tissues. AMF ni dia akan penetrate into plant root tissues, and then it will grow the hyphae in the plant tissue. Okay, some of the hyphae will grow in rhizosphere. They will absorb nutrients. The absorbed nutrients will be transferred into plant host. Okay, so in return, plant will give this mycorrhiza fungi sugar or carbohydrate for their nutrition. Okay, so both parties will get benefits in these interactions. So how beneficial microbes can enhance plant growth and can promote plant growth, even though they don't give any nutrients to the plant. So this is the mechanisms. Okay, so basically the mechanisms can be divided into two. Either direct mechanisms. Direct mechanisms mean the beneficial microbe will directly influence the plant growth, or indirect mechanisms. Indirect mechanisms, the beneficial microbes indirectly will enhance plant growth and development. Within the direct mechanisms, there are few other mechanisms. The direct mechanism can be further classified into, or further detailed into few mechanisms. Okay, for example, the first one, the beneficial microbe can help in nutrients absorptions by the plant. Okay, how the beneficial microbe can help in nutrients absorptions by plant? By giving plant the fixed nitrogens, okay? Or it can solubilize metals that are required for plant nutrition, or they can produce hydrophore. If you still remember, we have discussed about iron, okay, Fe. So in plant, there are two mechanisms of iron absorptions. One is by hydrophore productions, dan lagi satu, dia akan hasilkan compound that can reduce the pH or induce the acidifications, and dia akan ubah Fe3 kepada Fe2, okay? And then dia akan absorbs the iron from the rhizosphere. The other mechanisms by producing phytohydrophore. Okay? How beneficial microbe can give nitrogens to the plant. Beneficial microbe can give nitrogens to the plant by fixing the atmospheric nitrogens. Okay, so we know that nitrogens can only be absorbed by the plant in the form of ammonia or nitrates. Okay? However, in our nature, nitrogens mostly exist in the form of gas. Okay, in our atmosphere, 70% of our air that we breathe or air that we inhale contains nitrogen gas. So nitrogen in the form of gas cannot be taken up by plant. However, there are certain group of microorganisms that we call nitrogen fixing bacteria that can convert the atmospheric nitrogens into ammonia. Okay, how these microorganisms can convert the atmospheric nitrogens into ammonia? Because these bacteria can produce nitrogenase in enzymes that involved in conversions of atmospheric nitrogens into ammonia. There are few categories of nitrogen fixing bacteria. The first one, the beneficial microbe can only fix the atmospheric nitrogen if they can establish or they can form symbiotic interactions with the plant, or we call symbiotic uh, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Example of this nitrogen fixing bacteria is rhizobium. Okay, what is rhizobiums? Rhizobiums, rhizo mean akar, biomes mean bacteria. Bacteria yang hidup dalam akar. Okay, so biasanya ini yang contoh yang untuk implementasi. This is example of how we can use symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria in agriculture practice. Kalau awak travel dekat kawasan Pekan, Temu Azam, ada banyak ladang kelapa sawit kan. So salah satu cara untuk dia dalam ladang kelapa sawit untuk prevent weed ataupun untuk prevent erosions adalah dengan by planting cover crops. Okay, usually cover crops used in oil palm plantations is legumes. Why they use legumes? Because legumes plant can establish symbiotic interactions with rhizobiums. Okay, so the rhizobiums will penetrate into plant roots and forms nodules. Okay, nodules tu macam bentuk kacang bulat-bulat. Sebenarnya itu adalah rumah bakteria. So why this bacteria required to penetrate into root legumes? Because the nitrogenase that can convert the atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia can only be activated in anaerobic conditions. Okay, dalam keadaan tak ada udara. Okay, salah satu cara ni adalah by establish symbiotic interactions with root legumes. Okay, so the rhizobium will fix the atmospheric nitrogens and converts the atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. So pokok legumes tu tadi akan dapat baja ammonia daripada bakteria ni. Selain tu, ammonia yang dihasilkan oleh microbes ni can also leach to soil, okay, and can be taken up by pokok sawit yang ada dekat ladang kelapa sawit tu, sebab kita tanam pokok legum tu antara celah-celah pokok sawit kan. So ammonia tu dia boleh leach, mengalir keluar daripada akar dan meresap ke dalam tanah, so dia boleh mensuburkan tanah. So dalam amalan in agricultural practice in oil palm plantations, biasanya pokok bawah 5 tahun dia akan tanam legumes ni. Untuk apa? Untuk menyuburkan tanah. So penggunaan baja nitrogens dapat dikurangkan. So dia boleh save cost. Okay. Itu satu. Bacteria boleh convert the atmospheric nitrogens through symbiotic interactions. Second type nitrogen fixing bacteria is associative. Associative mean bacteria yang penetrate into plant root. Okay. Tadi symbiotic dia very specific, rhizobiums dengan legumes saja. Dia tak boleh rhizobiums dengan pokok kelapa sawit, rhizobium dengan pokok durian, tak boleh. Dia punya interactions very specific. But for associative, it is non-specific interactions. It can any type of bacteria that can penetrate into any plant species and form symbiotic interactions. Or nitrogen can also be converted into ammonia by free-living nitrogen fixing bacteria. Bakteria yang hidup secara bebas tak establish symbiotic interactions or associative interactions with plant. So biasanya the free-living bacteria that can convert the atmospheric nitrogens, they can live in aerophilics, microaerophils conditions yang keadaan udara yang sangat rendah. Okay, sebab Nitrogenous is very sensitive toward oxygen. Okay. Apart from that, there are group of microorganisms that can solubilize, especially metallic elements required by plant as their nutrition. Okay. Example of metallic elements required for plant nutrition is potassiums, phosphate, calciums, ions, apa lagi? Sulfur, okay, magnesiums. So there's certain of microbes that can solubilize, especially phosphate. Sebab apa? As I said many times, phosphate adalah very reactive. Dalam tanah biasanya phosphate dia akan bind with other minerals, CEC ataupun soil particle. Okay, so kalau dia bind dengan soil particles, dia mudah dilarutkan semula ke dalam soil solutions. Tapi kalau dia bind with primary or secondary minerals, dia susah untuk di-convert to plant available forms. Okay, so salah satu cara to convert element, especially phosphate, from unavailable to available is by applying phosphate solubilizing bacteria, okay, or phosphate solubilizing matter. So this phosphate solubilizing matter can produce organic acid such as oxalic acid, malic acid, and apa lagi carboxylic acid. Okay, so this acid will break the bond between phosphorus and metals and release the phosphorus into soil solutions. Okay, contoh-contoh mekanisme lain adalah by producing siderophore. So kalau awak masih ingat, plant can absorb ions by two different mechanisms. Okay, mechanisms apa? Mechanisms 1 and mechanisms 2. Okay, so plants yang boleh hasilkan siderophore adalah plant yang groups dalam gramineous plant. Okay, macam pokok padi, pokok barley, pokok gandum. Okay, so macam apa yang special about the second mechanism of ion absorption by plant? This kind of plant, the gramineous plant, can produce siderophore, phytosiderophore. So this phytosiderophore act like magnet. It will attach to ions. Okay, when it attached to ions, plant have a special protein that can uptake or bind with siderophore and ion complex and bring the ion into plant tissues. Okay. Selain tumbuhan, mikrob juga boleh hasilkan siderophore, dan siderophore ni juga boleh digunakan oleh tumbuhan for their ion uptakes. Okay. Apart from that, beneficial microbe can also produce plant growth regulator like indole acetic acid. Indole acetic acid is a growth hormone. Okay. Cytokinin also growth hormone. Gibberellic acid used in plant in their germinations. ACCD aminase is a compound that can degrade ethylenes. Okay, so what is ethylenes? If plant experience stress, it will produce ethylenes. So ethylene productions will induce leaf senescence or early plant maturations. Okay, so kalau plant tu dia mature early, biasanya yield dia tak baik lah. Macam pokok jagung, sepatutnya dia ambil masa 3 bulan untuk mature, tapi 2 bulan dia dah produce yield, dah boleh harvest. Biasanya plant yang experience early mature, dia punya yield tak bagus. Okay, so kita boleh gunakan beneficial microbe that can produce ACCD aminase. So this ACCD aminase will degrade the ethylene. So plant will not enter senescence or mature phase of growth early. Okay, and ethylene that being breakdown by the beneficial microbes, dia akan jadi nitrates. Okay, so the nitrate can be used as a plant nutrients, okay, for their growth and developments. So itu adalah direct mechanism. For indirect mechanisms, the beneficial microbe can serve as a biocontrol. Okay, the beneficial microbe, they can produce antibiotics, they can produce compound that can suppress pathogenic bacteria. Okay, apart from that, the plant can increase the resistance toward abiotic stress. Okay, for example, salt stress, drought stress. Okay, by colonizing the plant root and produce azopolysaccharide. Okay, so this azopolysaccharide serve as a shield, a sponge to absorb water and shield root surface from infections of pathogenic microbes. Okay, so ini adalah the summary of mechanisms of how beneficial microbe can enhance plant growth. Okay, so saya nak awak ingat mechanisms dia ni. Dia ada beneficial microbe, how they can enhance plant growth. Generally, the mechanisms can be divided into two: direct mechanisms, indirect mechanisms. Direct mechanism by producing plant growth regulator, and the other one assisting nutrients acquisitions. Indirect also dia ada dua cara, melalui biocontrol and increase plant resistance toward abiotic stress. Okay. Any questions? Lalu kita masuk part yang terakhir. Any questions? Okay, Mas Rizal. Okay, ya?
Okay.
Okay, let us continue with our last topic. Okay, so our last topic is fertilizer applications. Okay, so what is fertilizer? Fertilizer is amendments or compound, whether it is organic or inorganic, that contains plant nutrition or elements required by plant for their growth. Okay, so usually when you buy fertilizer, there will be dia akan ada apa, label macam ni. Okay, ini adalah kalau kita beli complete fertilizer. What is mean complete fertilizer? Fertilizer that contains more than one nutrients for plant nutrition. Okay, biasanya dalam bentuk N, P and K, nitrogen, phosphorus and also potassium. So bila awak beli baja complete fertilizer ataupun compound fertilizer, dia akan ada ratio. Okay, macam ni dekat bag dia. Ratio ni ada berbagai-bagai. Sebagai contoh, dalam gambar ni dia punya ratio 25 and 10. What is this ratio represent? This ratio represent the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in the fertilizer. Okay, for example, yang ini dia ada 25 dengan 10. It means dia ada 20% nitrogen, dia ada 5% phosphorus, dia ada 10% potassium. Okay, so awak kena ingat bukan jumlah sebenar nitrogen. Sebagai contoh, dia gunakan urea, so dia ada 20% urea, bukan nitrogen. Okay, tu saya nak awak ingat betul-betul, sebab student biasanya confused bila 20% urea, saya suruh kira berapa persen nitrogen, dia silap, dia tulis 20 saja. Sebenarnya bukan 20% nitrogen, dia 20% urea. Okay, kalau baja ni cakap dia punya nitrogen dalam bentuk urea. Okay, so biasanya dia akan cakap nitrogen dalam bentuk apa, phosphorus dalam bentuk apa, potassium dalam bentuk apa. Okay, so yang ini dia cuma cakap nitrogen saja. So kita boleh anggap nitrogen 20%. Okay. And then phosphate dalam bentuk phosphorus dalam bentuk phosphate, potassium dalam bentuk potassium. Okay, so kalau jumlah keseluruhan the weight of this fertilizer is 100 kg, it is mean that there are 20 kg of nitrogen, 5% of potash equal to 5 kg of potash, and phosphate 5 kg and potash 10% mean 10 kg. Okay. So kalau saya tanya how many kg of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are in 20 kg of 16, 4 and 8 fertilizer. Okay. Ada berapa banyak P and K dalam 200 kg fertilizer. Dia punya ratio NPK adalah 16, 4 dengan 8. So nitrogen ada berapa kg? Syairin. Mana Syairin? Syairin tak ada ke? Alia? Alia? Ada tak Alia? Alia tak ada juga. Mas Rizal? Ada Mas Rizal?
Ada doktor.
So Mas Rizal, kalau dia tulis dekat sini ratio elements NPK adalah 16:48. So the amount of nitrogen berapa?
Sekejap.
Senang je ni, corak je. Berapa Mas Rizal? So kalau dia punya ratio nitrogen awak tengok tu adalah 16. Okay. So the percentage adalah 16% lah. Okay. 16% daripada keseluruhan baja tu ada nitrogen. Tapi kita tengok berat baja tu berapa? 200 kg. 16% daripada 200 kg berapa? 32 kg kan?
20 kg.
Okay. Kalau fosforus berapa kg?
4.
Salah. Kenapa 4 pula?
8.
Cuba 8. Okay.
8.
Kalau potassium
16.
Okay. So awak dah tahu dia punya ratio. Okay. Saya cuma tulis dekat sini ratio N, P dengan K. Okay. So saya tak detail lagi nitrogen dalam bentuk apa, phosphorus dalam bentuk apa, potassium dalam bentuk apa. Saya cuma sebut NPK saja. So kita boleh anggap N 32 kg sebab dia dalam 200 kilo kan. Phosphorus 8 kg dan potassium 16 kg. Okay. So kalau awak kira 32 kg tambah 8 kg dah 40 kg. 40 kg tambah 16 56. Okay. Tapi berat keseluruhan 200 kilo. Tapi kalau kita campur balik fertilizer ni dia cuma ada 56 kilo saja. Okay, perasan tak? Ya. Okay. Dan 200 kg ni keseluruhan dia 56 kilo ada NPK. Sebab apa? Nitrogen ada 32 kilo sebab dia 200 kg kan. Phosphorus ada 8 kilo, potassium ada 16 kilo. Kita jumlahkan kesemuanya 56. So dari mana datang 200 ni? So yang lain tu 144 tu dia adalah filler ataupun inert materials ataupun carrier. Okay. So baja ni sebenarnya berat dengan carrier atau inert materials ataupun filler. Okay. Nutrients dia sebenarnya sikit saja. Okay. Itu soalan yang pertama. Okay. So soalan ni advance sikit. How many kg of plant available nitrogens, phosphorus and potassium are in 200 kg of 16,4 and 8 fertilizer. Okay, N is in the form of ammonium nitrates, phosphorus in the form of superphosphate, and potassium in the form of potassium sulfate. Okay, so apa soalan ni? Saya nak available nitrogens, jumlah sebenar nitrogens. Okay, tadi bukan jumlah sebenar. Okay, yang soalan ini saya tak detailkan lagi nitrogens dalam bentuk apa, potassium dalam bentuk apa, phosphorus dalam bentuk apa. So komponen yang ada nitrogens kita anggap saja 16% daripada 200 kilo. So 16% daripada 200 kilo adalah 32 kilo. Okay, tapi saya nak detail lagi the available forms. Maknanya kita kena kira betul-betul nitrogens ada berapa. Okay, so yang tadi kita kira nitrogen ada 32, phosphorus ada 8, potassium ada 16. Yang ini kita kira. Mula kita kira apa? We calculate the ratio first lah. Okay, so saya silap, nanti saya edit, saya letak yang atas ni. First, we must calculate the ratio of nitrogen in the fertilizer first. Okay, so in here, it mentions that 60% of the fertilizer contains nitrogens. Okay, so maksud dia 30 nitrogens dalam 200 kilo baja ni, nitrogens ada 32 kilo. Faham tak yang ni? Okey kan? Tak ada masalah kan? Iklimah, faham tak yang ni? Nitrogens ada 32 kilo.
Faham.
So, kita nak detail lagi. Nitrogens tu dalam bentuk ammonium nitrates. Okay. So kita nak kira betul-betul nitrogens tu ada berapa. So first kita kira the atomic mass of the molar mass of ammonium nitrates. Okay. So the molar mass ammonium nitrates is 80. And then we calculate the atomic mass of nitrogens. In here kita tahu nitrogens dia punya atomic mass berapa ya? 14. Okay. Tapi kita tengok dekat sini ada 2 atom nitrogens. Okay. So 14 darab 2 adalah 28. Okay. So 28, macam ni kita nak kira the total available nitrogens. Kita bagi atomic mass of nitrogens with molar mass of ammonium nitrate and times with the ratio of nitrogens in fertilizer. The amount of nitrogen fertilizer in the amount of nitrogens in the fertilizer. Okay. So kita kira ni 28 bahagi 80 darab 32. Berapa dapat?
11.2.
11.2. Okay. So the exact amount of nitrogens in this fertilizer adalah 11.2 kg. Okay, faham tak? So ini ada tadi mula-mula kita kira ratio dia saja. Okay, bila kita kira ratio dia saja dia ada 32%. Okay. Bila kita kira betul-betul, sebab kita tahu ammonium dalam bentuk apa? Ammonium dia ada 11 kg saja. Okay. So samalah macam kalau awak nak kira fosfat, awak kira dia punya awak kena determine dia punya atomic mass bahagi dengan molar mass of superphosphate, lepas tu darab dengan 4 darab 200 kilo ni. Okay, ataupun 8. So awak dapatlah the exact amount. Same goes to potassium. Okay, dia dalam bentuk potassium sulfate. So awak kira nanti awak dapat amount untuk potassium sulfate. Okay, so it is important for you to know the exact elements, okay? The exact chemical formula of nitrogens ataupun phosphorus ataupun potassium. Sebab apa? Ini dalam bentuk ammonium nitrates. Kalau dalam bentuk nitrate saja, tadi kita dapat 11, tapi kalau dia dalam bentuk nitrate saja, amount nitrogen tu dia ada 5.5 saja. Okay, lagi sikit. Walaupun dia punya ratio sama, dia punya berat sama, tapi dia punya bentuk nitrogen berbeza, amount dia dah berbeza. Okay. So saya harap awak faham. So any questions? Faham tak tadi macam pengiraan tu?
Faham?
Okay ya, faham ya. So any questions? Kelima okay, kelima.
Okay.
Okay ya. So nanti saya bagi soalan pasal calculations tadi. Tutorial questions. So awak nanti lebih faham. Husna, okay Husna?
Okay.
Sarifah, ada soalan Sarifah, Abharina? Tak ada, semua okay ya. So if there is no questions, we can end our lecture sessions here. Start minggu depan lecture akan dengan Dr. Fahmi. Okay, Dr. Fahmi will take over lecture. So hopefully lah saya boleh upload tutorial questions. Saya tak nak upload tutorial questions dulu sebab apa? Saya takut nanti tutorial question tu sama dengan midterm exam sebab saya biasanya ambil daripada soalan situ saja. So nanti bila saya dah decide apa soalan exam tu, saya akan upload tutorial question cepat-cepat so awak boleh ada latihan untuk lebih faham tentang topik-topik yang telah kita belajar dalam kelas. Okay. So if there are no questions, I would like to thanks untuk for your times and attention. Terima kasih untuk 7 minggu ni bersama dengan saya. Saya wish you all the best for these subjects. So saya harap semua dapat A ya. InsyaAllah saya doakan yang terbaik untuk awak. So terima kasih, selamat berpuasa, jumpa lagi waktu lab nanti. Okay, terima kasih semua.
Doktor, sekejap.
Ya. Kelima.
Yang ratio 16:48 tu kan, yang tu memang 16 tu maksudnya 16/100 lah, dia bukan 16 daripada 16/4/8 tu kan 20.
Betul, dia 16%. Okay. So dia punya ratio ni tak tetap tau Iklimah. Kalau awak pergi beli baja, dia ada macam-macam ratio. Yang saya tunjuk ni contoh dia 16/48, yang ada 10/10/10, ada 5/5. Okay. So regardless apa pun ratio, dia merujuk kepada percentage of nitrogens. Bagi contoh, awak pergi beli baja dekat kedai, dia mentions dalam tu 20-20-20. Okay. So dia ada 20% nitrogens dalam fertilizer tu. Okay. So 20% tu awak kena further determines nitrogens tu dalam bentuk apa. Ammonium nitrates, calcium nitrates ataupun dalam bentuk amonium saja. Okay. Sebab bila awak dah determines bentuk nitrogens tu, awak boleh calculate the exact amount of nitrogens dalam fertilizer tu. So macam mana awak nak determine the exact amount of nitrogens? Awak atomic mass bahagi dengan molar mass darab dengan dia punya total amount dalam baja tu. Okay? Faham Iklimah?
Faham. Thank you, Doktor.
Okay. Ada soalan lain? Anyone? Any questions?
Doktor.
Ya.
Kenapa dia tak tulis siap-siap dekat package dia je?
Tak tulis siap-siap. Ada fertilizer, okay, dia ini marketing strategi lah, Mas Rizal. Okay. Dia nak tengok, kadang-kadang awak tengok dia punya fertilizer 20-20-20. Okay. Lagi satu fertilizer awak tengok dia 15-15-15. So awak nak tengok nitrogens dia. Yang 20 tu awak tengok macam banyak, tapi dia dalam bentuk nitrate. Okay. Tapi yang 15 tu dalam bentuk ammonium nitrate. So bila awak dah calculate betul-betul, sebenarnya yang 15 tu dia contains lebih banyak nitrogen daripada 20 tu. Okay. So dia ada fertilizer yang dia spesifik dekat dia punya bag, dia tulis betul-betul berapa jumlah keseluruhan. Okay. Tapi kebanyakannya bila awak beli baja, dia hanya tulis nitrogen, contoh 15. Nitrogen dalam bentuk urea ataupun nitrogen dalam bentuk amonium. Dia mesti specify. Okay, itu peraturan yang kerajaan Malaysia standardiskan. Bila dia jual chemical fertilizer, dia bukan saja kena mention ratio dia. Kalau dalam bentuk compound fertilizer ada NPK dalam tu, dia bukan saja kena bagi tahu ratio dia, dia juga kena beritahu nitrogen tu dalam bentuk apa, phosphorus dalam bentuk apa, potassium dalam bentuk apa. Okey. Kadang-kadang dia nak nampak banyak kan, ratio dia tinggi tapi dia bagi dalam calcium phosphate. Okey. Yang satu baja tu tengok macam rendah tapi dia triple super phosphate. Okey. Phosphate dia ada 3 kali ganda. Itu marketing strategi lah, sebab tu saya ajar ni biar awak faham, ataupun nanti awak internship ataupun awak bekerja sebagai agronomis, awak tahu tengok harga dia murah tapi awak ingat ada nitrogen cukup, tapi bila awak tengok yang mahal tu sebenarnya nitrogen lagi banyak, lagi berbaloi. Okey. Okey, ada apa-apa soalan yang lain? Sarahani, okey? Nurin Maisarah, okey? Nurin Maisarah, okey?
Okey.
Okey. So kalau tak ada apa-apa, terima kasih. Good luck for your midterms and for your this class. Hopefully awak semua boleh dapat A. Selamat berpuasa dan jumpa lagi. Terima kasih semua.
Thank you, Doktor. Selamat berbuka.
Thank you, Doktor. Selamat berpuasa.
Thank you, Doktor.
Ya, Doktor.
Okay, sama-sama semua.
Thank
Terima
you,
kasih.
Doktor.